boop, boo, and we're streaming. And I'll just start recording the show after I make sure the stream is working. It looks like it's working. Bam. Okay.
Yeah. Bikes are about to get expensive. Buy bikes
Yep.
now.
I'm gonna get the rear entire wheel on my bike replaced.
Oh, because it exploded.
Yeah, it's I took it to another bike shop just because I was getting some other stuff done, and I was like, so this other bike shop said that my rear wheel is dangerous and bad. What do you think? And he was like, it looks fine to me. Like maybe, and then he looked at it, he spun it around a little bit, and he was like, did you replace this spoke? And he points at one particular spoke, and I'm like, yeah, actually I did. And he's like, yeah, this tire's fucking shot. And he started to explain why, and it was pretty cool. Seems like the rule of thumb is if you lose more than 3 spokes, just throw the wheel away. It's done. I've replaced 9 spokes.
What?
In the last
What is wrong with you?
8 years. So about a spoke a year I lose on the rear wheel.
What are you doing?
I know what I'm
I've
doing.
never had a spoke come off any bike ever.
So both bike shops said the same thing about what I've never had a front tire do it. I've never had a mountain bike do it. This bike is doing it. And basically, the guy actually, the guy literally asked me at the bike shop, are you a mountain biker? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, when you start going, how do you start? And I kind of demonstrated. And basically, I accelerate really hard whenever I'm at a stop or whenever I want to go faster. And I basically stand up and slam down. Like I push hard and crank really hard anytime I want to get going again or go faster. And it puts a lot of stress on the rear spokes. And it's not something that normal bikers do. It's something mountain bikers do. But mountain bike spokes are thicker and stronger. So he basically said, I got to get a heavier rear wheel or I got to stop doing that. So I'm getting a heavier rear wheel.
You just stop doing that.
All right, we already got some people watching. Let's do this.
Go away, people. Come back next Thursday.
Oh, when we try our
then
pilot
you're
show?
allowed to come.
Yeah, here's a stream exclusive. We might try on next Thursday
You're allowed to come next Thursday. Until then, go away.
a very special episode of Geek Nights where we will interact with an audience in a fashion. It might fail miserably. Stay tuned. We're trying something new, which we have not tried in a long time on Geek Nights.
I think mostly it'll fail because we need multiple hours, not one.
Yeah. It'd be a better thing to do like once a month on like a Saturday.
Well, if it's successful, we could just do it forever.
Well, I was thinking more about there's a lot of ways to make it, there's a lot of things we can do. Anyway, I'm not going to spoil all that for the listener. I love that joke. All right. It's Wednesday, September 19th, 2018. I'm Rim.
I'm Scott.
And this is Geek Nights. Tonight, we review the fantastic Night is Short, Walk On Girl. So I've been actually training myself to do faster half marathons. Like I've realized that I can't run short distances as fast as I used to because 35 ain't 25. And that kind of training is kind of hard on me. And like my 5K times are never going to get better. But old people consistently run very good marathons and half marathons and all those like 10K and up length races. So I've actually been training to do long runs for the last summer as opposed to what I used to do up to that point. And it's starting to pay off. So I can now reliably do a half marathon under 2 hours, even if it's hot out, even if I'm tired, even if I don't bring food. Like I'm always under 2 hours. So now I'm shooting for an hour 50.
Okay.
But more importantly, I found a pretty good route because they fixed there's a couple of spots, like all the ways I can run 15 or 14 or whatever miles, basically either require me to do a bunch of like fiddly navigation around like traffic lights, or I have to go way out of my way from a bike path. Like if I run north on the east side, the bike path or the running path is broken in a couple of places for construction. And if I run around into Queens, I got to deal with traffic. And like if I go another way, I got to ride the subway home because I'm not going to run 5 miles home after I run 15 miles. But I found a route that goes a loop into Manhattan and back up through Brooklyn into Queens. That's almost exactly a half marathon if I make one tweak to it.
Why don't you just run to a park and then run in a circle and then run home?
Because that sucks. I like to cover new and novel ground. Otherwise, running's boring as shit. See, also biking. You want to just bike to Central Park and go around it all day and nothing else?
Are you enjoying the biking or are you enjoying the seeing stuff?
Both.
If you're enjoying the seeing stuff, you could just ride a car.
No, it's both. It's traversing distances with different scenery over time.
Mm-hmm. Get a Google Maps VR biking hookup where you just bike in place and then you see new stuff on in your VR.
No, that's not nearly as fun because you're just on rollers. You're not really biking.
Put a fan in front of you so you don't even know.
No, you're still just on rollers. I mean, yes, if biking in New York or in the world constituted a perfectly flat, level, unchanging space.
No, they have trainers that like get harder, that match up with the video, and they get harder and easier as the video has hills or downhills in it.
That's still just not, like, it's not a terrain. It's just flat. It's still perfectly flat. There's no bumps of any kind.
I guess it can't bump you.
I would like it to bump me.
You want to get bumped?
Actually, what I'm really going to try now is that mountain biking course up in Sprain, now that I figured out where it is.
Right.
So maybe
there's one in Queens. There's one in Queens.
Yeah, it's not good. I looked into it. The good one near New York is near the Sprain Brook Highway and like up in the Bronx. Like, that's the place to go.
Speaking of biking, because of tariffs, bikes in the U.S. are about to get expensive. So if you want, and it's already the right time to buy a bike because it's fall, which is when new bike models come out and last year's bikes are cheap. So if you want to buy a bike, you got about a month to buy a bike. And after that, it's not going to be a great time to buy a bike unless you buy like a used one, which then it won't matter.
Yeah, but it's only going to be like a 20% price increase on the parts.
That is significant. It turns your $500 bike into a $600 bike or your $1,000 bike into a $1,200 bike. That is a lot of money.
Yeah, well,
unless you're buying a $100 bike, then it becomes a $120 bike, which is not a big deal.
Yep. The other thing would be if you're like, I'm going to buy some parts that I'm going to need in the near future sooner rather than later.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is, even buying them now, I think the price increases are going to come well ahead of the tariffs actually affecting the supply lines.
That's what I'm saying. Buy like today.
Yeah.
This week.
The moral is, if you voted for Trump, you fucked up, and now bikes are more expensive.
Unless you hate bikes, and then
you're still a bad
you
person.
Think people who voted for Trump like bikes? You ever seen a cyclist with a red hat?
They're in fact the literal opposite of the kind of person who would like a bike.
I feel like anyone who rides bikes is guaranteed not to be right wing. You ever seen a right wing bike person?
I don't know. I imagine if I found a right-wing bike person, they either have one of those cheating things that lets it look like you're on a real bike but is actually an electric motor, or they just stole the bike.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, we got a ton of Geek Bites because we've been watching a bunch of stuff, and we've not been watching the same stuff. In fact, I think almost nothing we're watching overlaps except Tonegawa's Middle Management Whatever and Walk On Girl, The Night Is Short.
I think I'm done watching Tonegawa.
I watched 2 more episodes, and I like it. But I feel like I gotta watch Akagi before I could truly appreciate it. Mm-hmm. And also, as much as I like it, it's not as good as a lot of the other things I'm watching.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you have to say about Hanebado?
Oh, so
because we talked about this in Judge Anime, right?
Right. So when we judged anime, there was a badminton show, and I feel like what we said was like, oh, it's a sports anime. It'll probably be just like all the other sports animes like Yo Pedal and Haikyuu, but only badminton this time. So I watched 1 episode of the badminton show, and the badminton show is not good.
Like, what's bad about it? Like,
okay,
I'm just curious.
So first of all, it doesn't have any of the comedy or excitement that other sports anime have. It is super serious,
which could be good. I've like there's super serious like touch.
Sure. But it has a little bit of the things that Yuri on Ice has, which is at the very start, it shows 2 people and one of them loses to the other person at badminton. And then for some reason, they're both at the same school. One of them is in the badminton club, the one who lost, and is all angry at the world and is mean to all the other badminton club people, so the club is going to fall apart. And the other person, the person who won and scored all the points and destroyed the angry person, isn't even playing badminton. They're playing tennis, and they're like a genius. They're just like but they don't even want to, right? It's like,
well, to be fair, tennis is way more fun than badminton.
They're the reluctant, prodigy person.
Okay,
and they're all shy. They're all shy and don't want to say anything and don't even want to play badminton. Like it's almost like Shinji, right? But basically, none of these characters have any character or are likable in any way. It's like there's no character you give a shit about, and everyone's taking everything way too seriously. Like they're crying about Badminton Club within episode 1. And then the only character that has any life to them whatsoever is the mysterious person who's clearly some sort of coach who reminds me a lot of the bad perverted coach from the horse show.
Oh, that's not good news.
Only there was only one scene of perversion
so far.
And then
how many episodes?
It's like we've introduced here. This person's gonna help you bet badminton. And it's not unless you.
Right.
It's not good.
All right, I will refrain from watching it. I forget.
I want a show that's like Yo Pedal with crazy characters. Like Midosuji, but nope, there's no character in here.
What's funny is I already forget what we said about this show, so I don't actually know if we said.
I'm pretty sure I thought it was gonna be just like all the other sports anime, only badminton. But no, it's worse than all the other sports anime, only badminton.
Yep. So I watched the first episode of The Dragon Prince, which is actually really, really good. So it's on Netflix.
What's it about?
It's a high fantasy drama. The vague gist of it is so it's
like Slayers.
So it's kind of, but serious, like 100% serious.
Like Game of Thrones.
It's written by this, or at least partially written by the same head writer as Avatar: The Last Airbender, which you also haven't seen, and which is also fantastic. Like, if I had to rate it on our old anime scale, Avatar is an A anime.
Mm-hmm.
A- at worst. Like, it's up there with the A shows that we talk about. This is basically Avatar 2, not set in that world, like nothing to do with Avatar except that it has a lot of similar tropes, similar writing, similar characters, but it's a high fantasy world where basically elves and humans, like all these different kinds of elves and humans and dragons all live in this fantasy world.
No dwarves?
No dwarves.
Fuck it.
That's fine though, because there's multiple kinds of elves and there's super hot dragons.
Uh-huh.
So at some point, there's 6 kinds of magic in the world, and there's this whole fantasy thing.
Okay.
But then the humans discover the 7th kind of magic, which is basically evil bullshit.
Yeah.
And they use it, and they're like, yeah, we got evil bullshit.
Yeah.
And the elves are like, oh, fuck no, get the fuck off our island. And
deal with it, elves. Check out my evil bullshit.
Yeah,
all elves dead. The end.
So the elves and the dragons the elves at least force all the humans to the other side of the continent,
Boo.
put a big wall between the two of them.
Boo.
And the king of the dragons, who's just this giant badass fucking dragon.
President of the United States.
The dragon basically just says, I'll guard the wall between you two sides. You never fight again.
Boo.
And the humans use the dark magic.
Pick sides, King of Dragons.
Yeah, so the humans go use the dark magic to kill the king of the dragons.
Yeah.
And now war is about to begin.
Yeah.
And the show it's a kid's show like Avatar. But Avatar's super good. And this is also super good. It's serious.
I wanted to see the evil magic be all like evil and
it is.
Like bloodbath.
Avatar is a bloodbath. Do you know how many people die in Avatar?
No. Like violence, like Berserk, where it's like. Bleh.
We'll see how close it goes to that because it's on Netflix.
Or like the Netflix Castlevania anime. Or something.
Well, there is more of that coming, which I'm really looking forward to.
Yeah.
The only problem with it, like the character designs are great, the voice acting's fantastic, the story's pretty good so far, the writing's good. The only complaint, and Emily pointed this out because I couldn't articulate it that well, is a lot of people were saying the frame rate is bad on the animation. Remember how like Wakfu
Wouldn't it be 30 FPS being a...
It's not that. The show is 30 FPS. It's that the characters look kind of jittery. Like when they move, like stuttery. It almost looks like...
Is it animated on like the 4s or the 6s or who knows what?
It almost looks like if you took a 24 frame a second cinematic and just put it on a modern television. But only the characters, not like the backgrounds or anything else. It's not that distracting.
Is it just the way they rendered it and the...
It's the way that what Emily said, because she knows way more about this than we do, is what appears to be happening is they wanted it to look hand-drawn instead of CG, because it's CG. And it looks kind of like Wakfu. It looked great when it was still, but it looked a little weird when it moved. So in this case, she said that the characters don't ease. They never ease. And now I realize what that means. You know when someone like strikes a pose, and then they settle like a little bit, like after they struck the pose? That's easing. And this show does not have that animation. Characters strike a pose, and then they're static. But it stops being distracting after one episode, and the show's so good that I'm just going to watch it anyway. I really like it.
Okay.
So did you watch anything else?
So I watched an episode of
Yellow Guy?
Yeah, Assassination Classroom, which is an anime I'd heard of many times. I don't know how old it is. It has a lot more episodes than I thought.
I've never watched it, and all I know about it
All I know is that
it's the yellow guy.
it's the yellow guy.
And it's one of those anime premise there are rules shows. It's in the genre of
Right.
there are rules.
Are you ready for the premise?
All right.
This is not spoilers because it's all in episode 1, which is the only episode I've seen. You ready? Here's the premise of Assassination Classroom. Everyone on Earth looked up at the moon, and holy shit, like the moon exploded. It's now permanently a crescent moon because a giant hole was blown in
Did it explode because everyone looked up at it at the same time?
No, you couldn't notice the moon not explode. The moon exploded. It was a giant explosion on
Just
the
the
moon.
way you phrase that, everyone looked up and the moon exploded.
I'm just saying.
So the moon exploded and everyone looked up.
Anyway, the moon exploded, right? The government found out this explosion on the moon that destroyed it was caused by Yellow Guy,
All right.
right? Yellow Guy is ridiculously powerful. You don't really know his origins. He can travel at Mach 20.
So like Cubey or what's his name from the show where all the kids die.
He's yellow. He has tentacles. He can change color. Who knows what other powers he has? He's from the Earth, he says. He's not an alien. And
Bokurano.
sure,
Like that guy.
Yeah, he speaks English, even though his mouth doesn't move when he speaks English.
But he has a mouth. It just smiles all the time.
And he basically has threatened the Earth that he will destroy the Earth after, I think, a year or some amount of time. I think something like a year.
Yep.
And the only way that he will not do to the Earth what he did to the moon,
Is if someone kills him.
yes, he has to be killed.
Okay.
He has demanded that he be allowed to teach this class of students. Right?
How to kill him?
And so he's teaching this class of students, which is like, and it's like the delinquent class, like class E. Right?
All right. So
And-
Cromartie.
And they're in this school that is like, an abandoned school, so no one else is there really. So these students, perfectly normal but low grade students, have to go to this class in this school that's in the woods, and he's their teacher, and the yellow guy is their teacher. He teaches them perfectly normally. He doesn't, he's perfectly good, excellent teacher, but they're trying to kill him. If they kill anyone who successfully kills him, will not only save the Earth, but will be paid like $1 zillion bajillion
All right.
by the government. And the government has provided them with all manner of deadly weapons that are deadly only to Yellow Guy and not to them. So like they have guns that shoot these little balls, and they try to shoot him, and he's taking attendance, and they're all blasting at him nonstop with assault rifles and Uzis and all, right? Like for the whole time he's taking attendance, he's moving around in Mach 20, dodging everything. And then they're like, oh, we don't believe that, someone questions whether the bullets even actually work. So the yellow guy shoots his own arm with one, and his arm explodes, right? And he's like, no, they totally work. You guys just couldn't hit me. I was going Mach 20. He flies at Mach 20 to get Mambo tofu for lunch from China.
Ooh.
Yeah,
I would
right?
do that if I could do that.
I'm just saying. So it has this comedic aspect, but also this scenario aspect. And the thing is, on the one hand, it's like I could watch all of this, right? And like, I guess you would learn the characters of the different students and other things. And I assume there's this sort of conflict between he's a good teacher, what's his deal, but we have to kill him to save the Earth. Who knows what's going on? Because you see moments where he's evil too, right? But I feel like this is the kind of show where I just want to go right to the end and skip all the middle part. And I just want to know what the deal is.
Just read a spoiler.
I will.
Okay.
That's what I'm going to do. Because I don't want to watch 47 episodes.
I mean,
or whatever it is.
that's how I dealt with my desire to know what happens in Attack on Titan while having zero interest in watching any more Attack on Titan.
Yeah, I feel like it could be fun, but I feel like it's just a little bit too shallow and transparent to actually be worth my time.
No.
So I should just go right to the end and be done with it.
I feel like I would watch this.
But watching it's not bad.
I feel like I would watch this if I didn't have so many other great shows to watch right now.
Yeah, it's like I feel like it's just below the line of something. It's like you could watch it and you'd be cool with that, but it's just below the line where I need to watch it. I can just, go see what the answer is.
So I also...
Do they kill him? Do they not kill him? Does he destroy the Earth?
So I know I think I've
What's his
mentioned this
deal?
a couple times, but because it's Wednesday, I can sort of formally do it. Adventure Time's done, of course.
Yep.
The ending.
It is now done. We can instead of us saying, "Oh, it's ending soon," it is over.
Like,
There will never be another official television episode of Adventure Time on Cartoon Network.
you cannot know more about the canon of this cartoon than me because I have seen
There's gonna be-
literally every second of it.
There's going to be a movie
That
and
does not
there-
impact the canon in any way.
and there are comic books which I own many of.
They're fantastic, the comic books.
Yes.
Kind of like the Pony comic books. Those are just like A+ comics.
Yep.
But
I own all those too.
all I will say,
I own all the Adventure Time comics. I own a lot of them.
my geek bite of Adventure Time, now that I know the fullness of it, is that it is one of the greatest cartoons ever made. I think it will
I mean,
definitely,
that was already true.
but it'll
before.
stand the test of time. And it ended literally perfectly. That ending is so utterly perfect.
Is my man Choose Goose in the final episode?
The voice actor of Choose Goose, I'm pretty sure, is in The Dragon Prince.
Okay.
There's a character who comes out
I learned
and
it
says
because I
something.
told Ram this earlier. I learned today. Today I learned this that the voice actor of Choose Goose,
If
the,
a
be-
voice
the
actor
best
you
character,
seek,
the best character
then
in
do
Adventure
not
Time
be meek. Eek, eek.
is also the voice actor of a zillion other things, including Candle Jack from Freakazoid. If you don't know,
I'm
what the
gonna
hell-
need more rope.
if you don't know what Candle Jack is, I'm gonna need more rope.
If you don't know what Freakazoid is, all we'll say is that it was weirdly ahead of its time.
It is, yeah. You could put that out today, and people would think it was made today if it was
But-
in HD.
Do yourself a favor. If you're not caught up on Adventure Time, don't just go watch the end because it literally sort of needs you to have seen every single episode of the show.
Oh,
Like,
all the episodes that matter. There are some
No,
episodes that
I
are
would,
purely.
I would say you need to have seen every episode of the show for it to really
Even the
work.
Masaaki Yuasa weird food chain episode.
Yes, actually. Specifically, yes.
Uh-huh.
I ain't even shitting you, bro.
Uh-huh.
It is
Even even like that early episode where what's his name was the voice for the heart guy.
Oh, Ricardio?
Yeah.
I think you would need to see that because it does set up some things about why Bubblegum does what she does.
Uh-huh.
You'll see.
Even the episode with the horse on the ball.
All I'm going to say is that remember that the Lich said that he is the last scholar of Galb. The show ends perfectly, and I cry every time I watch the ending.
Ends with Golb.
There's a Galb. Galb is involved.
Related to Glob.
Possibly.
Possibly.
It's very secretive, spacey. It kind of frames everything nicely.
That's
and
my favorite part.
Yeah.
Give me that Prismo, boy.
But it frames everything nicely and wraps things up appropriately for both the literal reality of the show and all of the themes that have recurred in the show over its run.
Give me that Prismo and that Cosmic Owl.
The
Hoot hoot.
last time you see Prismo is an excellent moment. I would say that every character, the last frame that they're on screen, is a masterpiece by itself.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, the other thing that I'm watching right now is BoJack Season 5. It's continuing to be excellent. It's still some of the best animation for adults that's out there. And Season 5 is already better than a lot of the previous seasons and hasn't even gotten to quote-unquote the good part yet. And of course, DuckTales, which I also watched all of and is fantastic and you should watch it. And I'm actually really looking forward to Season 2, which apparently starts in March. No, it was renewed in March this year. And the second season will premiere in, late 2018. I got to wait a while.
Who got time for this?
There's only 23 episodes. I found
That's
that
a
once,
lot.
once I watched one, I just had to watch them all because the show every episode is better than the previous episode. And the episode where it makes a crossover with the gummy bears is pretty good, but not quite as good as the episode that crosses over, kind of, with My Little Pony.
Here's the news. Care Bears is coming back.
Oh, God.
It looks pretty cute.
Yeah.
But I'm not watching it.
I'm conflicted on that because when I was
All I'm saying is I'm not telling you to watch the new Care Bears because
Yeah.
I don't even know when it's coming out or I don't care.
Yeah.
But do look. There's one promotional image floating around. Look at that image to see what the Care Bears look like. They look pretty good.
Well, we're in this weird golden age of bringing this stuff back.
Yeah, because no one's got any new ideas.
No, people have plenty of new ideas. BoJack's new. I guess unless you saw Californication. So there is some actual news that isn't just us talking about shows we've watched recently. Space Jam 2 is
Oh,
coming
shit.
with LeBron.
Oh, baby.
I'm weirdly excited for this.
Let's go, theater.
I look forward to the slam, and I want to come to the jam.
Let's jam. See, the thing is,
I suspect that the original movie does not hold up at all, but I have
Why
not
not?
seen. I get this feeling it's not going to hold up.
Oh, you don't think so, huh?
We should watch it. We've never reviewed it on Geek Nights.
See, I think the thing with Space Jam is that
Come on and
it
slam.
was merely okay to good to begin with, but
Yeah.
I think it is still holds up as okay to good. I don't think it is decreased.
I could see that. I remember it being okay to good.
The thing is that
It loses its novelty.
see, Space Jam's coming back. They need to bring back the Quad City DJs, aka 95 South,
Come on and slam.
with the Miami Booty
And
for
welcome
the theme
to the
song.
Bam Slam.
Right? If they get
And
someone
rhyme
else,
with am.
right? Otherwise, it's no go. It's like Streets of Rage is coming back. They're remaking that. If they don't have music by the same person who made the music, I forget his name. For this, we saw him at MagFest.
Yeah, we did.
Who
Well, it would
made
be
the
like-
music for Streets of Rage 1 and 2 and 3, then what? There's no point. And even, no matter how good the game is, it's like, no, the music is what made it happen, right? It'd be like if you made a Miyazaki movie and you didn't have some Joe Hisaishi music. It's like,
Yeah.
just get out of my face with that.
Be like if you made more Utena and didn't put that Shazar music in it.
It's like Initial D without Eurobeat. It's worthless.
Yeah.
So-
literally worthless. Initial D.
If this Space Jam movie has some Miami Booty, we're good to go.
then we know exactly.
Yes,
So
sir.
I'm fucking weirdly excited about this. I don't know what to do.
What could the plot possibly be? Monsters come again, and they're like, haha, Michael Jordan's so old, we can beat you now. It's like, nope, we made a LeBron.
That is literally the plot I would have pitched. Like that exactly, with a cameo and everything. That is the exact plot I would put in. And
The only other problem is that I think that kids these days did not grow up with Looney Tunes as much as we did. I'm sure they still know those characters, but not as much as we do. I think what you should do is make it with other characters, perhaps Cartoon Network characters
you know what actually would work?
or anime characters.
If you could somehow pull together
The thing is,
Roger Rabbit style characters from a bunch of different things, because there were those
Right.
new like Mickey Mouse cartoons
right, well,
that were really good.
Here's the problem, though, is that original Space Jam worked because the Looney Tunes characters are clearly not athletic, right?
Yeah.
Other than Bugs Bunny, who has natural skill at everything, right?
Like what's Elmer Fudd gonna do?
Exactly, right? But the characters that kids are into these days, it's like, what, fucking Jake the dog? Jake the dog doesn't need LeBron's help to play basketball. As long as he learns to play basketball, right, you're good to go, right? You know, it's like, what, Naruto can jam. Don't need no LeBron. Naruto can probably beat LeBron. LeBron's going to be on the bench if you got Naruto on your team.
It's just gonna be a bunch of Fortnites and that's it. Like Fortnites and LeBron.
I don't know if Fortnites are stronger or weaker than LeBron.
Gumball could work because those characters are not athletic.
The
for
point
the most
is,
part.
right, LeBron can't out basketball Captain America.
I feel like this could be used instead. Here's a counterpoint to catapult and bring back a big Looney Tunes era.
Go for it.
Because Looney Tunes could work in the modern era. Those new Mickey Mouse cartoons, like all that stuff, were really good.
I think we need to, you know, the thing is, if I was writing it, right, the way I write this shit is I'd be like, yo, friggin', you know, we still don't need the LeBron if Wile E. Coyote just bombs the other team and himself.
All right, I think that's 25 minutes of news. Oh, the chat is bumping. Are we going to pump up and slam? Yep. Okay. But anyway, things of the day. So I have a thing of the day that's really good and interesting, but depressing, so I figured I'd save it. So instead, this is just a dog feeding carrots to 3 rabbits and a pig.
All right.
I don't. It is literally that. This is not a Mustang hits bicyclist.
Did you see that there was a
scenario.
GIF going around where there's 3 dogs and they try to give a treat to the dog in the middle and he
Yep.
pushes the treat to the dog on the left.
Yep.
And then another treat comes in and he pushes the treat to the dog on the right and helps his friend does because he's a good dog.
I also saw the one where the guy gives the treat to the first dog, and then he gives the treat to the second dog, but the first dog grabs it and runs away, and the second dog just looks up like, what the fuck?
There's also a good one going around. I think I've seen multiples that follow this formula where there were videos people did where they would play like the treat in the 3-cup shell game.
Yep.
And the pet would get it right. And
Yep. Oh, the one where the pet got it wrong?
No, they do it where they have 3 cups, right? They put the treat under one of the cups. They play the shell game. The pet picks the shell with the cup or the bowl with the treat in it. It's one treat, and then the owner opens up another bowl that was previously had just been face
I think
down
I saw
the
there's
whole
a
time.
little white dog that looks like what?
And there was a ton of treats in that one. And then, right? And those are funny.
A lot of these, there's this one song that was used in Rick and Morty, and they cut to that song usually when they make these memes.
Like, imagine if I played the shell game with Rim, but instead, you don't start with all the shells open. You only open the one shell.
And then you reveal the one I didn't pick is like
I put like $1 under it. I shuffle them all around, and then the other one had a gold bar.
No, the other one's got like an unreleased Advance Wars.
Source code to Advance Wars.
So what do you got for me?
So I don't know if I feel like I've done this as thing of the day before, but for almost 20 years, we have loved the Radiskull.
The fact that we never got a canonical published conclusion.
I think wasn't it in the book that we couldn't get?
Yeah, but we didn't get to see it animated. I
Anyway,
I have a speculation.
So the creator of Radiskull is a guy named Joe Sparks, who has an Elvis Presley style haircut and still does. And Joe Sparks, after finishing Radiskull and going to get jobs at places, and I guess those jobs prevented him from making more Radiskull in some way.
Well, there's a whole complicated story. There's a situation why he couldn't make more Radiskull.
Anyway, the point is that he disappeared to go work as an adult for years and years and years, and only recently, maybe less than 2 years ago, returned to YouTube and has been producing content of various sorts.
In fact, he has a note on this video you linked to, quote, I am searching for those millions of Radiskull and Devil Doll fans from 2001.
That is us.
If you know one, please let them know about my YouTube channel.
I'm here.
Yep, Joe, we got you back. We're like the OG fans of Radiskull.
We are. But anyway, the point is I think I've talked about his return to YouTube before. It may have been a previous thing of the day.
He still only got like 1,000 subscribers.
Yeah, this may have been a previous thing of the day, his channel or some video on his channel. But he just put out a new video on his channel. And in this video, what's going on is he was at one time an employee at Leapfrog, who I believe made children's fake computers.
Oh, yeah, that sounds right.
And I believe he was some sort of game developer, software maker there, making games for children's tiny computers for maybe at some portion of his life in between making Radiskull and now. And while he was there, that company had a talent show, and he was in the talent show performing Radiskull songs live. It seems like he just told the entire story of all episodes of Radiskull. And this is a video that was of that performance at that talent show that was rescued, and he put it on YouTube and is well worth watching because I've never seen a live performance of Radiskull before. And also, wow, he just makes the Radiskull and Devil Doll voices.
Yeah, that he can do that way more naturally.
They required no audio production. He is just a good voice actor.
I feel like the pro movie for Netflix to pick up and reboot Radiskull and Devil Doll.
Also, he changes kill to kiss because I think he's talking to children. He's performing in front of many children.
Yeah, well, because
I think it was Bring Your Kid to Work Day.
Well, because one thing
at a company where they make children's toys.
Yep. Well, also there's a so Adventure Time has a lot of moments where Finn or Jake or someone will say the words "I'll kill you," and in the UK at least, I don't think this has changed. They won't let that be in a kids show. They usually remove it.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like how you can't spit on anyone. That's why they cut out all the scenes in Adventure Time where someone spits on someone.
Well, it's why in the Ninja Turtles live-action movie, which is excellent and still holds up, the Foot Clan is like teenagers and bad people.
Yep.
And in the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles cartoon that ran on TV for many years, all of the foot soldiers are robots that explode the same as they are on the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles arcade machine.
Yep,
etc.
There is a joke about that in Rick and Morty that you would not appreciate, so I'll just skip it because you haven't seen that show. But it's relevant to your Turtles analogy.
Do they fight a bunch of guys that are robots and then fight a real guy and he bleeds to death? And
they're fighting a bunch of guys, and the kid's like, I don't want to hurt anyone, and he's like, shoot them, they're just robots. Just kill them, they're just robots. So start shooting them.
They're not.
They're clearly not robots. And he's like, they're not robots. Oh my god. And then Rick is just like, yeah, but I mean, they're like robots. I don't respect them.
Mm-hmm. Before we start the show, I just want to say, it's hockey time.
Oh, it is.
Super.
I even watched the fake hockey preseason.
No.
It was a pretty good game because it went into OT.
I'm sure it was, but no, it's fake.
And the OT was pretty good.
Fake. Doesn't matter. Give me that real hockey.
But very briefly, in the meta moment, if you are here because you saw us at PAX, if you go to our website, there is video of the panel we gave, not from PAX West, but when we did it at PAX East, because guess what? We did the same panel twice, and the entire list is available in that YouTube video. Also, the book club book is still Homer's Odyssey, apparently, because Scott hasn't updated the website.
2001 Space Odyssey. We're just going to do all Odysseys. We should call it the Odyssey Club.
And you may know that over a year ago, I started a Civilization V multiplayer game with the Patreon patrons of GeekNights. Like, people who were in the Patreon had the chance to join this game. It was all humans. We played this giant-ass Civilization V game. The game actually just finished. Like, the game is done. We've been playing Civ 5 by mail for a long goddamn time. The game is over, and I am now uploading the series of videos showing the progression of the game in the world over time. So you can watch all that on YouTube. I just uploaded a video where I titled it The Raising of Sousa, because if you couldn't guess, I burned fucking Sousa to the ground. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Craig Oliver.
Foxton.
Rule 1 of multiplayer Civ. Building the Great Library sends a message to everyone around you, and that message is, I have built this instead of building an army.
That's right. I built this for you. Please accept my gift of one great library.
Do you have spearmen and catapults? Well, there is a party here, and you're all invited. All right. So we've actually talked about a bunch of Masaaki Yuasa movies in recent memory, because Masaaki Yuasa is really productive lately.
So much output.
Yeah, and really good. And if I had to describe Masaaki Yuasa in terms of like the kinds of works I expect, off the wall, kind of weird, little spacey. Like, that's kind of the way where I'd put it. And Night is Short, Walk On Girl does not disappoint.
So, yeah, hold on. I'm trying to bring something up, which is an interesting thing that I learned only at the end of this movie, when, after the credits, Masaaki Yuasa comes out to speak.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so this is what I learned, right? So there is a person whose name is Tomohiko Morimi. And Tomohiko Morimi is an author, right? And they are the author of...
Eccentric Family,
Tatami Galaxy, Night is Short, Walk On Girl, something called Penguin Highway that's probably amazing, Adventures of a Saintly Slacker, which sounds amazing, and 2016, something called Night Train, which sounds amazing. Basically, everything that they've written sounds amazing, and my only experience of their work, their novels, are the anime adaptations, right? So Eccentric Family was not animated by Masaaki Yuasa, but Tatami Galaxy and Night is Short, Walk On Girl were both written by the same author, the original novels, and animated by the same people.
And there seems to be a trend that at least these things are linked in subtle ways in the anime adaptations.
Right. So Rim, after seeing that thing after the credits, I said, well, I feel like I'm not going to be able to do a show on this this Night is Short, Walk On Girl unless I've seen at least some Tatami Galaxy. So I went home. I've seen now 2 episodes of Tatami Galaxy.
And I do plan to watch it all.
In Tatami Galaxy, within the first minute, I see that Tengu Chin guy, literally that character is just right there at the start, right? The main 2 characters of Night is Short, Walk On Girl are Crook slightly so, but are also the main 2 characters of Tatami Galaxy. The minor character in Night is Short, Walk On Girl, the demon in the book.
Yeah, the used book god.
Yes, a crooked, a little bit more than slightly version of that character is a very main character of Tatami Galaxy. The art style is basically identical. The mood is very similar. The plot is not so similar.
Nah.
They're not redundant. Just, you think, oh, that was all the same character, just the same thing. No, it's not the same thing at all. They're 2 separate works. They're originally 2 separate novels, right? It's just that because the same animation team was adapting 2 works from the same author that have some similarities, they, kept some character designs and some moods and some things. But from 2 episodes, I can already tell that Tatami Galaxy is fantastic, but we're not reviewing Tatami Galaxy. I'm just letting you know that I feel like it's hard to fully review one of these things without knowing about the other, because there's so much right, togetherness going on here.
But at the same time, I cannot stress enough, The Night is Short, Walk On Girl is 100% watchable in a vacuum.
Yes, either one of these things stands alone if you were to watch them independently, but to fully grok either one, I think you need to experience both.
So I would actually recommend just go see this movie.
I don't think it matters which one you see first.
No, I mean just stop listening to GeekNights right now and just go see this movie.
That would be a great use of your time.
Because this movie is one of the better anime movies I've seen in a long time. I went into it knowing literally nothing about it except who directed it.
Yeah, I think it's even better than the other Yuasa one we saw with the
I think so.
with the vampire dog. But that might be because what was the vampire one dog? Lou Over the Wall?
Yeah, Lou Over the Wall.
I think it's better than Lou Over the Wall. Maybe that's just because Lou Over the Wall is more of a children's movie.
Yep. So
and I'm an adult. This is not a children's movie. It begins with people getting blasted.
Yep. And it's hard to describe what this movie is about without either really spoiling it or getting really, really sort of philosophical. Because
it is very philosophical.
The plot is expansive in scope and covers probably 500% more ground than you expect it to.
Right. Well, basically, the way to summarize it best is that this is a girl, and it's one night in her life that we're experiencing.
Yep. She's on the cusp of becoming an adult. Her friend's getting married.
The night begins at this wedding that she's attending, and she goes on after the wedding. She goes out to drink and starts partying, and the night becomes this big adventure, right?
But in that time dilated way that nights like that when you're young feel like they last a lifetime.
Right. So in this night, there are 4 seasons. Right, and I think he said the book was divided into 4 seasons, and they sort of compressed the 4 seasons into one night in the movie. I haven't read the book, obviously, it's in Japanese. I don't think it's translated. And I think it might be getting translated, though. I think I did read something somewhere that they're working on publishing these novels in English. But anyway,
I would read them.
Yeah, I would read them. But the 4 seasons, right, it sort of starts in, I think it starts in spring because it ends in winter. Right, so that's that wedding part, and the parties soon after that are the spring. Then there's this summer part, and everything gets hot. Right, there's an ice kotatsu because they're all melting. Right, they go to the night book fair, the cicadas. It's really right, the hot times. Then there's fall, and there starts to be stuff happening at the school, and people are getting cold.
But I guess,
and then at the end, it's winter, and everyone's sick. Right. And that's sort of the flow of this one epic, long, adventurous night that goes through these 4 seasons, and crazy stuff happens.
And if I really had to try to explain what it's about on a high level, it's that feeling when you're young and you haven't really decided what you want to do yet in your life, and you're just entering the adult world, and you're starting to do the things that adults do, and everything feels very important. Very minor things feel like they're the most important things in the world. And it follows someone through, experiencing a night like that. Like those nights we used to have when we were young, like at RIT, wandering around at night, fighting with sticks and whatever.
Yep.
But it's also
very surreal.
But it simultaneously has this long-running theme about how the exact same night is very different, even for the people who had the exact same experience, based on their state of mind and how they feel about the situation. Multiple people have the same experience, and they all see it completely differently because of the state of their own heart and mind. And you see this illustrated in so many different ways, it'd be hard to catalog them. The clocks literally are moving faster for the old people than for the young people.
Yep.
Things like that. Like the school festival, which I can only describe as Kill La Kill. like that festival, bunker where they're running it. It evokes how it felt to be running the RIT Anime Club back when I was in college, compared to now as an adult, the reality of what running the RIT Anime Club was really like.
Right. So the main character is the girl, right? Who has, we keep saying the girl, she has no name.
It's just the girl.
It's literally the girl.
There's the girl, the guy, the characters.
So the other characters, some of them have names, right? So
but she's just walking on. She's just going from moment to moment. the world's sort of passing her by, and she's interacting with things for the hell of it.
These other characters, though, all have threads, right? And it's like everyone's thread gets resolved at some point, usually tied up with some other character.
And she's sort of almost a catalyst. Like, as she's passing through the world, everyone else's stories keep merging with hers and then splitting off again and then merging with each other.
Yeah, it's like there's a character who's like in the beginning, right? And like the very opening scene, the guy who doesn't change his underwear. And then
Katsu.
And then he goes away. You don't see him for a while. And then later on, he comes back and he's real important.
Yep.
Right? The only other character besides Girl who is sort of there the whole time is Guy, who is sort of in love with her from afar and keeps chasing her and keeps getting caught in the wake of her adventures, but not really catching up to her. And it, coincidentally...
He feels a little bit like a Skojo person, like in terms of the way Skojo was.
That doesn't mean anything to anyone who's listening.
A friend of ours, I guess a lot of the characters in this evoke not the details of the lives of our own friends, but the feeling about those people when they were similarly young and having these experiences. Like being young and running the anime club and being young and pining after a girl that you know. Like it's all those feelings, and encapsulates what it felt like to be 19 and full of vim and vinegar and gin.
Right. Also, there is a lot of alcohol flowing this entire thing.
Hemingway, and the girl's superpower is that she can drink an infinite amount of alcohol.
There's a very important drinking contest, and she just keeps going.
Yup.
There's a lot of eating and a lot of food. There's a scene where
the hot nabe. That
nabe
nabe
eat the hot
scene.
nabe, which is literally like a lava nabe. At the same time that you've got sort of this, serious philosophical thing and these character threads, it is wacky and cuckoo bananas. Right, in terms of like the in a Masaaki Yuasa way,
and it just keeps going. It just keeps moving. Like it never pauses.
If you've seen like the Masaaki Yuasa episodes of
Adventure Time,
or what was the Space Dandy?
Yeah,
it's wacky like those very often.
They're like. If we did a final thoughts episode where we talked about the details of this movie, it could go on for hours.
Mm-hmm.
But the other thing it does that reminds me, there's a live action movie called Punch Drunk Love that actually does the same thing, at least for a portion of its run. It never pauses. Like it never gives you a break. It never like pauses to reset or like to establish. It just keeps going and going and going and going and going as fast as possible, covering so much more ground than you possibly expect. And then it ends.
Yeah, the pace of this is really, really fast. And at the start of the movie, it accelerated so fast, I felt like I wasn't really... I felt like I was missing something, right? But no, I wasn't missing anything. It's just, it was going fast and only giving me the minimum of what I needed to know. And then later on, things filled in, things came around a second time, a third time, and I realized, no, I didn't miss anything. They're just pushed it to the limit in terms of information they can give you, right? So that you can catch it all and comprehend everything, but they can cram it all into the time they have in this movie before it's over.
I think my favorite moments, without spoiling, are like number one is actually early on when all the different drinking parties sort of converge with each other.
Well, I mean, just when they learn the dance from the young people,
the sophist dance.
And then the old people,
the fucking sophist dance.
They end up at the sophist club where these kids are doing this weird. They seem to be in a cult and they do the sophist dance. Then they go to some old people and they do the dance, and the old people are like, "Oh, it's the sophist dance. We used to be in the sophist club. We started the sophist club."
It's exactly that situation that really happens. Like when Scott and I and a bunch of us ran into the current generation of like the RIT Anime Club, and they're like, "Yeah, we run the RIT Anime Club." We're like, "Son, let's talk about the RIT Anime Club. We ran that shit."
Hi, everybody.
Now we're old. This movie is phenomenal. And I am hesitant to use that word about movies usually, but I would call this movie utterly phenomenal.
It is a must-see anime movie.
Like, if you haven't yet watched other shows that we've said are good that you should watch, or other movies that you should watch, just watch this one first before you watch anything else. I would watch it again right now if I wasn't so hungry.
I know.
I'll just stop there. I think that's good. Watching this trailer for it